Welcome back to Nosco Unpacked, the channel all about flexible packaging. I'm Steve Kruger, product manager here at Nosco for FlexPack, and today is the fifth episode in our series with Phil Harrison, co-owner of Dura-Pack and also highly valued customer for Nosco. And today we're going to be talking about challenges within the equipment process and various services that we might be able to offer that help with those challenges. Hey Phil, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So today I want to talk about something that's probably not a good topic necessarily to talk about, but can be high on people's minds when they're running through equipment and packaging.
Yep.
Challenges when it comes to your packaging component. Is it the package or the packaging materials, or is it the equipment?
Good fun time, Steve. Yeah, and there's a lot of finger pointing in this, so I think this is a really good topic to have. And to be honest, there's a lot of gray areas, right? Sometimes it's not always the pouch or it's not always the machine. So I know like one of the more common issues we see is typically related to the zipper of the closure.
Sure.
So there's a lot of machines out there that require that the zipper is pre-opened. And it's a relatively easy thing to do on the pouch making side,
yep,
right?
Of course, yeah.
But there's a lot of challenges where maybe the machine wasn't running right, or maybe you opened the zippers but you didn't case pack them right.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get to the machine, either the zippers are what we would call a hard close, so they're not opening, or what can be even more challenge is what we call like a soft close, where it's like half open, half closed. So if it's a hard close, a good pouch machine will know that it can't open it. So at least it won't fill it, but now it's just dropping pouches right instead of filling them.
Right. So that's like the defect or kick out.
Yeah,
if you will.
yeah.
Okay.
So at least you're not dumping product all over the floor.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a problem. But what can be more cumbersome is if you have what we call a soft close, where the pouch opens but not completely because you had all these areas in the zipper tack close.
Okay.
Right, and that can create a problem where because the machine opens it, it thinks it's open, but now the product doesn't make it all the way in because you don't have a nice full normal opening.
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
So that one's usually pretty clear that it's a pouch.
Right.
You know, manufacturing issue, or sometimes even just a case pack.
Just a case pack, so
Yeah.
it could be one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Similar to that, on the opposite side of the bag, another common problem is like what we call a tacked or a stuck gusset.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a bottom gusset during the pouch manufacturing, parameters weren't set right, you can actually get some of the sealant leaking into the gusset area.
Sure.
And
yeah.
it can actually kind of tack that, and now the machine can't open the gusset. And especially if you have a light product or a product where if you don't open the gusset, the product doesn't fit. Now the machine goes to do it, fill it, and now you got product through your seal.
Through the top.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's another one, and that's a little more obvious on the pouch manufacturing side, right?
Right.
You just can't tuck the gusset side.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yep.
So Phil, you just described a bunch of examples that were more clearly on the pouch side, where we need to do our due diligence to ensure that pouches have zippers open, gussets are being formed correctly and manufactured correctly, and that's a little clearer. What about some of the less clear, a little bit more ambiguous challenges that somebody might face when they're filling and packing?
The fun ones, right?
The fun ones.
Yeah.
The fun ones.
The fun ones, yeah. So, a common issue, actually in a lot of packaging operations in general, is actually static, right?
Yeah.
It causes product to cling the stuff. It causes bags to stick together. So, an often Achilles heel, like an automated pouch filling machine, is that initial pulling from the magazine to present the pouch.
Sure.
Because you could go to grab one pouch and another one sticks to it, and you have all these challenges. That's typically related to static.
Okay.
And the reason it's a gray area, it's like, where did the static come from and how do we get rid of it, right?
Uh-huh.
So in the pouch manufacturing operation, you can actually add ionizers so that as the pouches are being cut and separated, you're discharging it.
Sure.
But also on the pouch machine, in key areas, especially in the pouch magazine where you're pulling the pouches, you can add an ionizer, right?
Gotcha.
So this is a scenario where the pouch guys are like, well, no, it's not my problem, it's at the machine. And the machine guy's like, well, you're giving me staticky pouches, right? But really, either and both can solve them. And if the goal is the most successful operation ever, both probably should do it in tandem,
both, right?
Yeah, so again, that's kind of a gray area. You could argue either could solve it, and this is part of what Dura-Pack does, is because we make the pouch and the machine, we guarantee compatibility, and we take this two-pronged approach.
Sure.
It's like we could solve it here, we could solve it there. Let's do it both.
Do it on both.
Yep. Hit it with a hammer.
Yeah. Right. And you're discharging any of that potential challenge and static in both sets of the operation. So no matter where that static started from or stemmed from, it's kind of a non-issue once it gets
guaranteed for success, right?
Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
So I know that that's definitely not the only challenge that can present itself on filling equipment, because I've been out on lines, I know you've been out on lines where we've had other challenges associated. What's another high regular cadence item that kind of comes in as like, is it the pouch, is it the machine, how do we solve this challenge?
Yeah, so a really, really common one is what we call product bridging, which basically means the stuff didn't make it into the pouch, right? So you have all the filling operation and all the funnels, and then ultimately some funnel that enters the pouch.
Sure, yep.
And then on the way down, the product doesn't make it into the pouch, it just gets stuck in the funnel. Now what, right? And it could be a lot of things. It could be even before the pouch was made, like we talked about pouch sizing, maybe the pouch wasn't sized correctly.
Okay.
Right? It could be that. But if all parties agreed on the pouch size and it's still bridging, now what? So the pouch could be the right size, but the funnel design or geometry on the machine could be wrong. That could cause bridging.
Okay.
A lot of machines have the capability of, instead of dropping all the product at once, you can actually stagger or stream the product out. So you can solve that on the machine.
Okay. And that's, you're talking product itself as it's cascading, I think is what we've said before, right?
Yeah.
Down
So
into the
picture
funnel.
you're dropping 16 ounces of something, and instead of coming one clump, imagine that product strung out, right? So it won't bridge.
Right.
Won't bridge the funnel.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that could cause this. And again, it's more about looking at it holistically and just how do we solve the problem.
Right. Phil, another common thing that I've heard from our customers when it comes to filling is that they are seeing really high waste within their process. What's that about?
A lot of things. Yeah. So some of it is stuff we covered, right? So if you have zipper issues or gusset issues, all this basically amounts to weight.
Sure.
Waste, right? You're going to have a high percentage coming off your line. Assuming it's not all of those things, there's a lot that goes into it.
Okay.
And it can be kind of hard to dig into. And you'll even see variabilities like, oh, this day I ran amazing, and then Wednesday I didn't, or my first shift was always great, and my second shift isn't. And sometimes looking at that data helps because it can help you drive into things. Or maybe it's this lot of pouches I had low waste, and this one I didn't. And so having that data usually will help drive into the problem.
Okay.
Because it could have literally nothing to even do with the machine or the pouch. It could literally be how the product is made.
Okay.
Right? It could be cut
You're talking
size.
like the bulk.
Yeah,
right?
so like if you're doing jerky, it could be cut sizes. If you're doing powdered product or something that's hydroscopic, it could be how much moisture it absorbs. Right?
Sure.
And so
Yep.
all this kind of goes into it. So we like to look at it almost from like a data collection standpoint. Like can we pinpoint it's always a certain shift, a day or whatever.
Okay.
If it's always just bad, then it's just like, for us, it's our service group. For you, I know you have like an engineering group that
Right.
goes out. It's
Yep.
usually having someone come out that knows all of these variables and just watch the machine.
Watches it run.
And sometimes it could be as simple as you have password protected settings and parameters on a machine. Someone who shouldn't have had the password got it. In their best interest, they tried to speed it up and they changed a bunch of settings they shouldn't have.
Right.
And it really takes some trained professional to see that.
Sure.
So it's not uncommon. Sometimes someone will complain about waste spanning days, weeks, or months, and a trained engineer or technician can go in 5 minutes, change 4 settings, and then running.
And then
right?
you're running again.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. So yeah, it could be a lot of things, but I think when push comes to shove, just calling the experts.
Gotcha. Phil, thank you so much. That was a lot of information, but really helpful information to get started on the process of troubleshooting if there's a potential challenge. But I think you summed it up really well there, is when you've got a really challenging aspect that you're dealing with, calling the experts is really the way to go.
Yeah, don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't wait in pain, man. Just get it fixed, right? Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for all the content here. We really appreciate it. Next time, we're going to be talking about minimum order quantities and MOQs and such. So, looking forward to our discussion there.
Me too, Steve.
If you need additional resources on this topic, go ahead and click the content in the description below. Go ahead and like and subscribe. This is Nosco Unpacked. Flexible packaging made easy. See you next time.